Hey guys, we just got back today from a awesome trip at Walt Disney World for the Flower and Garden Festival. And while everything's super fresh in our mind, we wanted to give you our review of the festival overall and also of the food items that we tried. And if you're not familiar with us from previous videos, I am gluten-free and Brian is a pescatarian, which means he's a vegetarian that eats seafood. So you can just keep that in mind as we're reviewing things. If you have any kind of special diet, maybe that will help. And I'm going to talk about a few items that were not marked gluten-friendly on the passport, but that once I asked for a chef, they confirmed that they were gluten-friendly or that they could be modified to be made such. So a few things about the festival overall. It was fantastic. I think we both really enjoyed it. But there were a few changes this year. There was no festival center, which was the first year I'm aware of in recent history that there's not been one.
Yeah.
There's rumors that they're doing something with that building. I believe it's the old Wonders of Life building. Is that what was there before? They've been working on it, so there's rumors something new is going there. I'm not going to talk about that because it's all rumor at this point. It's probably true, though, since they didn't open it as a festival center. What was disappointing about that, I would say, is the merchandise was scattered around all over the place rather than a centralized location.
Well, the center was a nice place to go, hang out, and chill.
Air conditioned.
Yeah, although we really didn't need too much.
We didn't need air conditioning this trip. It was on the cooler side, but it was just a nice place. And they had a lot of seminars on like gardening and things like that. So that wasn't there this year. So just a heads up if you're going, it's not there.
And it was packed this year.
It was the busiest we've ever seen it. We went
crazy.
this exact week last year. So it's not like this is a different week and we didn't know what to expect. And I would say the crowd size was double
all prior years,
what we experienced last year.
Well, even just prior years. Every time we've been.
Anytime.
It's a low-key festival, but I don't know what happened this year.
And when we say it's crowded, I'm not just talking about Disney World at large. We mean specifically the festival. The lines for the festival were longer than we've ever seen before.
Yeah.
Now, maybe that was an opening week thing that just didn't happen last year, but did this year. Who knows? But it was definitely different this year.
Yep.
Anything else you want to talk about? There were fewer topiaries this year.
Yep.
Cinderella was missing. Sleeping Beauty was still missing. I think she's been gone at least a couple of years now. And Lumiere and Cogsworth were also missing in action. I didn't take an inventory to see if any other ones were not there, but there are definitely fewer topiaries. And some of the ones that have been in one place in previous years were somewhere completely different. For example, Bambi used to be over by Canada, but they put some cool new bear sculptures there, and so they moved Bambi towards the front of the World Showcase. So some of them are in new locations this year. Otherwise, it was gorgeous. The flowers were beautiful. Just everything about it was fun. I think we really had a great time. So you want to dig into the food?
Yeah, so we're just going to jump in and hit each kiosk. I think there were 15 or so. I can't remember.
So we're using the passport, which we got from the festival.
And just, hit on what we tried and, how we liked it. So the first one up on the list is the Honey Bistro. I don't think you had anything here, right?
I didn't. I had planned to have the roasted cauliflower, but since you had it and did not care for it,
Yeah,
I also saw his and I decided not to get it.
Yeah, it was kind of lukewarm or even a little cooler than that. I couldn't tell if it's supposed to be cold or supposed to be warm.
I would think roasted cauliflower should be warm.
Yeah, no, I didn't like it at all, really.
Yeah, you didn't. I could tell.
I don't think I had the beer here. The Orange Nope, that's not it. The Orange Blossom Brewing Company, Orange Blossom Pilsner. I think they were out or something, so I don't think I even tried that.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, so the Honey Bistro for us was,
Yeah, it wasn't a huge hit.
All right, next up is the Pineapple Promenade, and let's see, Carmen had nothing here.
I had nothing. But they do, for your knowledge, they do have Dole Whip. They call it pineapple self-serve, but it's Dole Whip. And Dole Whip's always gluten-free, so that's just a heads up.
I had the Beer Flight. The Beer Flight was pretty good. It was all right.
You liked it all right, yeah.
I think 2 out of 3. I don't think I cared much for the one that had a bunch of coconut in it or something.
That was the pina.
Yeah.
One of them has pina, like pina colada in the name. That's the one you did not care for.
Yeah. All right, so next booth is the La Isla
Fresca.
La Isla Fresca.
Close enough.
I had the conch salad, and which was different than last year.
It looked completely different.
Yeah. It was okay. I mean, I wouldn't say I hated it. I wouldn't get it again. It was like really chewy. I don't know. And the plantains, I guess they were plantains, right? Even
I think it looked like sort of like a plantain pancake that came with it, but those are not
greasy.
listed on, so we're not
we
sure.
couldn't tell what it was. I mean, it's not listed in the ingredients.
passport.
And I think, I did have the tart mango cart wheat ale here, and that was good. I like that. That was really good.
And I had the tropical freeze with the mango rum, and that was good as always. That's a returning beverage, and I get that every year. It's really good. It's not super sweet. It tastes like real fruit, which I think it actually is. I think that's made from fruit juice. It's really, you can tell the difference. It's good.
And I never did get the shrimp skewer here.
No, you wanted to, but we never got to.
I kept
It's funny,
passing.
we spend so much time at the festival when we're there, and yet it's still hard to get to every. Well, you get full. And then you don't.
When you walk by and you see a line, so do I really want to wait in that line? No, keep going.
Yeah.
Berry basket. You had.
I had.
Greens, right?
This is an interesting story. I had the filled greens, which is called, it says fresh strawberries, crisp quinoa, strawberry vinaigrette, and spiced pecans. So you hear there's no mention of cheese, but it has what looks like blue cheese on it. And so this is one not marked gluten-free, but I asked and they called the chef and he confirmed it is gluten-free. It just wasn't marked in the passport. Always check yourself. Don't take my word for it. But if that's something you're interested in, that's what I was told by the Disney chef. Now that I said that, so I kept eating the salad, and I told Brian, I said, this blue cheese has no flavor, which if you eat blue cheese, it has a very pungent strong flavor. And I said, this is some really strange cheese. I said, it almost tastes like ricotta or something because it had very little flavor and a strange texture. So then we later found out from our friends, Vegan Disney World, which I will put a link to their blog in the show notes. So if you're vegan, they're a great resource, like wonderful resource. I saw them on social media saying they were eating it, and like, wait a minute, they don't eat cheese. And so I forgot how we found it exactly. Maybe they listed it, but on theirs, it was a soy-based product like tofu. So that's why it didn't taste like blue cheese.
It's interesting they don't tell you that.
That was interesting to me that they don't list it in the ingredients. Call it soy cheese or whatever it is. Tofu cheese. Just list it. I would have probably still tried it, but it was odd they don't list that on there. And also, it would help vegans know right away that they can eat it. Because if they see the cheese, they might just walk away.
Yeah. Well, what's the V?
That's
vegan
vegetarian. It's vegetarian.
So that's a wider scope.
Right.
And I did have the J. Deb Brewing Company Blueberry IPA. That was good. I liked that. Meant to repeat that. Never did. Several things meant to repeat. Never did. Yeah. So Mexico, I think this is a...
No, I got a drink there. This is the Jardín de Fiestas kiosk, which is near Mexico. Neither of us could eat any of the food because none of it's marked gluten-free and none of it was vegetarian or pescatarian. But I did get the Rosa Margarita, which in previous years was outstanding. It's totally different this year. So if you liked it in previous years, don't expect it to be the same. The color looks different. The taste is different. Just completely different. And I actually didn't like it and gave it to a friend I was with who did like it. We both got one. She liked it, so I gave her mine so she had two. Because it was not, to me, I did not like it. But obviously some people do because she liked it. So
let's see. Next up is the Lotus House. I had the vegetable spring rolls here. Yes. I had the vegetable spring rolls. They were tasty. They had it had a good sauce on it, actually, that was kind of spicy.
Nice.
That was good.
Nice.
I didn't have anything else.
And those are vegetarian, the spring rolls.
Yes.
And I guess we did. My salad was vegetarian too. We should point those things out. And I had the Kung Fu Punch. I get that
several times.
Every festival, every time we go around the world, practically, I get that.
I used to get it, but then it's like, I don't know.
I love it. It's refreshing, not too sweet, and it's a good price. I think it was $8.50. Please don't quote me, but I think it was $8.50, and it's a larger, like a 12-ounce serving, whereas the other cocktails are in tiny, I'd say 4 to 6 ounce cups, really small for the other cocktails. So it's a much better value, the Kung Fu Punch. Well, all the drinks in China.
All right, coming up to Germany is the Bauern Market, Farmers Market. We had no food here.
Right.
It's mainly sweet stuff here, and stuff with ham.
And gluten.
I did get the beer flight here, and it was better than the previous year. They swapped out that lemon citron beer with some other beer, and it was a good flight. I liked it. It was good.
Yeah.
Italy. So Italy was a little surprising because we kept reading bad things about it.
Yeah, we read bad reviews about the food there, and
So this is the Primavera Kitchen.
we liked at least okay everything that we had. I don't know if I'd say I loved what
So
I
you
had,
had,
but I had the frittata de asparagi, which is an asparagus frittata, and what impressed me about it is it was full of asparagus, because I was expecting mostly egg with just a few little pieces of asparagus, but it was a ton of asparagus, and then it had a little field green salad with some dressing on top. I liked it. I mean, not enough to get it twice during the festival, but
I should have
I
tried
thought
it.
it was good.
We did come back around. I said, should I get that? And you said, nah.
It was
should've
just
tried
okay. With all the things there, it wasn't anywhere near the top, but
Yeah.
it wasn't bad. I guess that's what I'm trying to say.
So, and I had the frito misto, and that's crispy shrimp, zucchini, and spicy sauces. It was, at first, I was like a little setback. It's like, it's just shrimp. But then as I kept eating the dish, and it's a lot of value there because it's a lot of shrimp. And the sauce is actually pretty good, spicy, and the batter that the shrimp was in also had spices. So it was like going on there. The only thing that put me off about it wasn't really crispy. It was greasy and soggy. I guess
and
it's
that
kinda
would
hard
turn
to
a
make
lot
it
of
crispy.
people off.
Yeah.
Being greasy, I mean, or soggy.
But we did recommend it to a friend that was with us one night, and she enjoyed it as well.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. It smelled good. I couldn't eat it, but it smelled really good.
Okay, next up is the Smokehouse Barbecue and Brews. This is all you. Man, I didn't get anything here, right?
Yes, and you did not get any. Well, you got the beer flight, but food-wise, nothing.
No, I didn't get the beer flight.
Oh, you didn't
here.
even
no,
get the beer
I did
flight?
get just the ones standalone. Sunshine Greetings Orange Hibiscus Wheat Ale. It's like, what is it with all these?
Long names.
Yes, it's kind of
Was
weird.
it good?
That's pretty good. Yeah, it was all right.
So there, as you'll see, there's nothing listed gluten-friendly. That's Disney's term, is gluten-friendly. It basically means it's made without gluten, but there may be cross-contamination since it's in these small food kitchens. They don't guarantee that it's 100% gluten-free. But I know from previous years that the beef brisket burn-ins hash, this year they also have a sandwich. It's not the slider, it's just the hash. I know that it's gluten-free without the cheese fondue, or at least it was in previous years. So I, again, talked to a chef, and they said, indeed, without the cheese fondue, it's gluten-friendly, to go back to Disney's terminology. So I did get that, and it was great. I thought it was fantastic. So
Yeah.
if I had had a chance to get it again, I would have. Which, just like we said, we run out of time and space to eat things.
All right. So next up is Japan with Hanami. We both got the teriyaki salmon.
We had a completely different experience.
Yeah, I liked it. It's good. I like the teriyaki sauce. Actually, the rice. I don't really like rice. It tasted good to me, and the salmon was like really good to me. Maybe it's a difference because I like fish. You know, that's my main protein.
I mean, I
protein.
like fish, though. I mean, I agree you like it
then
more than me.
Carmen had it.
There were two issues with mine. Mine had a huge bloodline in it, and if you're not familiar, that's the really dark line on the salmon. It's sort of a gray color when it's cooked. So it was very strong, and once I realized the bloodline was there, I kind of took it out. But before that, I got a really strong tasting piece. Also, I hardly got any sauce, and once I'd almost finished mine, when I finally got to a piece that had sauce on it, I was like, oh, this is pretty good. So I think if mine had had the same amount of sauce, and it was funny, we got ours at the same time, that shows you how different they can be. But I will say the salmon was nicely cooked. It was cooked all the way through, which for me is important. And, it wasn't raw in the middle or seared. And then it wasn't dried out or tough either, which that's kind of impressive in these small kitchens to get it cooked just right. But otherwise, it was okay. It just wasn't a repeat for me.
And I did have the sake here, the Kara super dry sake, and it was good. I liked it. It was really good. Did you have the cocktail? No, I don't think you did.
I did not.
Okay. Taste of Marrakesh in Morocco. I had the fried cauliflower twice. It was actually really, really good. Really crispy. This dipping sauce was just amazing, I thought.
And this was new this year, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a new item.
Yeah. So I would highly recommend that. I think that's all we got there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was. Then Florida Fresh. This was with the spicy.
Wow, these super spicy shrimp. So the spicy blackened shrimp with cheddar cheese grits. In previous years, I think it was just called something like shrimp and grits or something along those lines. Please don't quote me. And it was marked gluten-friendly. This year, it's got a slightly different name, and it was not marked gluten-friendly. It was quite different. There was a relish on it that was super hot, which we'll talk about in a minute. And there's also brown gravy on it that was not on it in previous years.
Again, called and had them speak to a chef.
Yeah, so the chef said as long as I left off the brown gravy, it was gluten-friendly. And so I did that. And I had one bite, and it lit me up. It was so hot, and it was the relish. It wasn't the shrimp, and it wasn't the grits. It was the relish. But they had piled a ton of relish right on the top, so there was no way for me to eat around it. So I gave it to Brian, and he finished it.
I loved it. The heat was amazing in this thing.
Well, he loves super hot stuff, but even he agreed. He said, "I'm shocked they're actually serving something this hot." It was on fire.
So your experience, if you get this, your experience may vary because maybe something was off, like someone got a little heavy-handed with the spice.
With the hot peppers.
I did mean to go back and try it again to see if it was hot again, but I just never got a chance.
So I actually got it again without the relish, so just the shrimp and the grits, no gravy, no relish, and it was outstanding, and it was not hot at all. So the heat is definitely in the relish, not in the blackened shrimp.
Yeah, I don't even like grits, and I really like this dish. I mean, I guess it was the heat for me because it was all well combined spices, and because it was so hot, I had to get the beer. I wasn't going to get the beer flight here. I
had to get the beer flight.
I had to put the fire out, and the beer flight here, it was all right. Of course, the one I did not like is the milk stout. That's a coffee beer.
Yeah.
It was okay. Unfortunately, as we mentioned before in our other video, that they don't have the, what's it called
Feast
again?
of Flowers
Feast of Flowers
Farmhouse
here.
Ale. That was his favorite in previous years.
Right. Hopefully they'll bring it back next year.
Yeah.
All right, France.
Fleur-de-lis. I think, did you get, you got the tart.
The tomato tart. It was a letdown compared to, that was Food and
onion
Wine.
tart.
Was that Food and Wine?
I think it was Food and Wine that had the onion tart.
The onion tart was amazing. This was it's just a lot of pastry with a couple. It was actually 4 sad-looking dried slices of tomato on it. It's funny. It looks nothing like the picture they show at the kiosk, which shows all these tomatoes and all this stuff going on. It's basically
you just kept saying all I taste is dough.
Yeah, it was just pizza dough with nothing on it but these 4 slices of tomato. So that was a bummer.
Not it. Yeah. And then I got the macaron. It's a chocolate macaron on a lollipop stick. Was actually more like a popsicle stick, but it's called a lollipop. And it was really good size. I was really impressed, and it had these little candy things on it. It looked really neat, and it was very good, very rich, very chocolatey, but very tasty. And to me, it was just the right amount for a dessert, because if you watch our videos, we're not huge sweet people, and this was just right. And also the filling in previous years, they've had things like sort of a raspberry jam that was way too sweet. This was a really nice chocolate filling that wasn't super, it was super chocolatey, but not super sweet. Really good. And that's gluten-free, or gluten-friendly.
Next up in UK is the cider house. I did have the house-made potato and cheddar cheese biscuit with smoked salmon tartare. I liked this, really enjoyed it. Actually, the biscuit was better than previous year. It wasn't dried out. It was moist. And the, the tartare on top of it was kind of I think they put more on there.
It did look like a good
instead
portion.
Instead of just like a slather, it was kind of caked up, on top of it. That was good. And the cider flight here was really good too. I liked the cider flight.
Yep. And I unfortunately did not ever get a chance to have the scone. It's gluten-free, and I actually liked it in previous years, so I can say that at least, but I didn't get to have it this year. I just ran out of space and time.
Yeah. It's funny how that happens.
It does.
Did you want to talk about the Joffrey carts?
Yeah. So there is another kiosk to go, but we're saving it for the best for last.
Yeah, because it was our favorite.
It was our favorite. Can I see that so I can look at the names of the Joffrey beverages? So we mentioned this in our preview video, and if you didn't see the preview video, you might still want to watch it because we cover all the food. And so I will link that over Brian's head, so you might want to watch that as well. But I mentioned that in previous years, the Joffrey beverages have been good, and they're also a good deal compared to the other festival beverages. Again, they're at least a 12-ounce cup, maybe even a 16, I'm not sure. And the beverages are usually good, but you can get with rum or with, and in some places I think there were even other options, but I think it was usually rum or vodka. I think the rum is always Captain Morgan spiced rum, which I don't like. But they also have vodka, and they have different ones at each Joffrey's cart, and there's 4 carts. I tried all but one, which is the one over by Test Track, because we never even got over to that side during the festival.
Yeah, that entire side of the...
We never went over there. We never rode Test Track. We just never went to that side of Future World. So I'm not going to talk about that one since I didn't have it, but the other 3 I did try on different days. The Showcase Plaza, that's at the very front of World Showcase as you come in slightly to the left. So if you come into World Showcase, take a left. It's the one that's closest to the front. They had Garden of Guava. This was my least favorite. It was frozen pink guava topped with rum or vodka. And I got it with vodka. Oh, and that's the other thing I should mention. You can also get a double if you want to. And the drink's actually
that's where
big
the value
enough.
Came in.
Well, the drink's big enough to support it. A double was only like $12. And I know you're going to only 12, but those tiny, tiny drinks were close to $12. Yeah. So
well, you consider most of the beers around, like at the permanent kiosk, are like $9. You know, $12 for essentially like 2 of those beers,
and a big drink to go with it. You know, so yeah. It's definitely a good value. And that was my least favorite because it was really sweet, but it still tasted good. It was just my least favorite of the 3. And then there was a strawberry pina colada, and it's right outside of the American Adventure area. And that's exactly what it says it is, pina colada with some strawberry. And then that one says it comes with rum, but you can still ask them to sub out vodka, which is what I did because it was the Captain Morgan's, which I did not want. And that was my second favorite. And then my very favorite was the Orange Blossom Twist. And in fact, I liked this so much, I really wanted to go get it again. But the next time we went by, the line was massive.
That line was crazy.
It was massive. So this is the one near the Canada Pavilion. It's sort of between Canada and UK. It's frozen orange pineapple topped with vodka, and that was so good. It was not super sweet. It was just really fresh and great tasting.
We also noticed that at all the kiosks they had the Tiki Torch, which was a festival drink at one time.
It used to be a festival drink. Yeah. I think it was like a food and wine drink, if I remember correctly. I can't remember.
It's food and wine or Flower and Garden, but
now,
it's
apparently permanent now.
Yeah, now it's on the permanent menu. You know,
and it's very tasty too. I know from past experience. We didn't have it this time because there were too many new things to try. Yeah. But so you want to do our
favorite booth was Northern Bloom. Canada, and we loved the
seared scallops that comes with green beans and fingerling potatoes. So good. Like we like all the and it has bacon, but he has them leave the bacon because they put it on at the end, and it's so good. So good. And I feel kind of sorry for him, even though he likes it without the bacon, because the bacon isn't just bacon. It's some kind of a sauce, and I think it even has a little lemon in it. So that is a nice tartness with the scallops.
I think you had it 3 times. I had it twice.
At least. I had it at least 3 times.
And one time she got it. It was like a huge pile of green beans in there, along with the right amount of scallops and
well, no, that was the time I got 1.5 scallops. Yeah,
it was like amazing.
I had like one was kind of a sliver, but it had so many green beans. I was like,
but it made it sometimes because sometimes we got 2.5 scallops. You know,
I think
it was only once you had the 1.5, but you had a big mound of green beans.
That was funny. That was funny. We even took a picture. I'll try to put it in here where Hope, our friend, had hers, which had normal amount of green beans, and then mine was because we got ours at the same time, and then mine had this huge amount.
And
of
I had the beer flight here twice, at least maybe 3 times.
And that's the Unibrew
because sadly, the Canada popcorn cart there that's always there seems to be no longer carrying Le Fin de Monde on draft.
Right, they had it in bottles, but they didn't even have it in on the menu. You had to ask for it.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's a permanent thing or a temporary thing. I asked,
the whole week was like that.
Yeah, the whole week we're there, they never had it.
And when you asked, she said, "You asked, is it coming back on draft?" And her words were, "Not to my knowledge." So that kind of sounded permanent.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if she knew for sure, but
I was kind of let down.
Yeah. Yeah, he was disappointed. So he ended up getting that beer flight instead since it's by the same company.
Yeah.
So anything else that you wanted to add about the festival?
I don't think so. They had the butterfly garden, which
That
was
was
amazing as
awesome.
always. We went through that at least twice, maybe three
It was
times.
very popular too. Every time we were in there, it was packed. Also, they definitely really, I know I mentioned this, but they really moved the topiaries around because Daisy's where sort of Phantasmic Mickey used to be,
You're right. Yeah.
and like they just have them in completely different places this year. It's just they really shook up. Figment is no longer right behind Spaceship Earth. He's further back behind, so he's behind the fountain and Spaceship Earth. Now they really switched around where everyone is. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them.
So I would say overall it was a good festival. I think for both of us, last year's festival was just a tiny bit better. But we still had a great
It's better
time.
across the board because it wasn't as crowded. The crowds really make
Yeah.
a difference. When there's huge lines, it really impacts at least my enjoyment. It just does. You
Yes.
can't help it. It's not that we don't have fun. It's just that it's more fun
We had
when
a
you don't
great
have to
trip
wait in
though.
line.
So the festival
We
made
did.
it because we were there each and every day.
We didn't miss it a single day. We went there at least for half of each day.
So it's working for them because it kept bringing us back to the park. So it was working.
Right, it does work. There's no doubt about it. So we hope this has been helpful to those of you who are going. And when you go, we hope you have a wonderful trip.
Yes.
And leave us a comment what you're looking forward to the most from the festival.
If you went, what was your favorite food?
Yeah,
Was
yeah.
it the scallops?
Yeah. What did you like? As always, we appreciate subscribes, likes, shares, and comments. Until our next adventure.